Comment, bienvenue. Welcome once again to an almost Christmas get together with Karen Bashford, the Empowerment Mentor. Now, this is a channel where she talks about all things to do with the way in which you deal with your life in a positive, powerful, and directed manner. So you feel like you're in control of it rather than it being in control of you. And today's topic really doubles down on that. It's stop and relax, but I don't have time to stop. And I think you'll find, for any of you listening, you may be able to reconcile that with your own life. Now, you've been at that point, haven't you, before now?
Absolutely. I think that's partly why it came up this morning as an idea to talk about, because I have suddenly become unbelievably busy, which is wonderful. But it's
what we were praying for,
yes,
in many
definitely.
ways, Karen. I mean, yeah. and it's not through good reason. It is. It's good reason. But the problem comes then. You then get into this kind of twisty whirlpool of I'm running around to stand still.
Oh yes, and don't I know it? It's like this weekend I had massive plans to be able to just go out and relax. That's just gone out the window.
I'm sorry. It's partly my fault, ladies and gentlemen. Partly my fault.
But you know what? That's fine, because what I now have planned to do is just take segments during the day, every day, just to give myself a chance to perhaps go for a walk, or even just sit and do nothing and just daydream out the window or something like that. Simply because I know from having that nervous breakdown, if I just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, I'm going to have another one.
No, of course.
It could
you'll get to the edge, and you'll think, well, I'm just comfortable on the edge here. I'll be fine. I'm on the edge here. And then something from left field will come along and knock you off. And there you go. Free fall once again.
Absolutely. And I don't want that. I've reached that point in my life where I want to be busy, but I also want to enjoy my life.
Quite right.
And I think everyone's got to start realizing that pushing continually does not serve. We have to step back. We have to stop and not make the excuse, but I don't have the time. Because one thing we do not realize is when we give ourselves the time to relax, we actually achieve more when we come back. Why? Because the body goes, I can breathe. I can just let go of some of this stress. I can just let my mind calm down and just be me, instead of constantly thinking of all the things that I need to do or should be doing, which quite often we don't have to do. It's like we decide that all these things need to be done when actually they don't.
It's about prioritizing yourself, I think.
It's a good way of describing it. Yes. I won't be doing my housework this weekend, that's for sure. But so what? It's not a mess. It doesn't matter. The dust will still come back. My cat will still make a lovely mess of the floor because she sheds her fur everywhere. So what? It's not going to kill me, that's for sure.
No.
Trying to do it will, but
I think what's important is to understand that when you're doing something that's positive towards your ongoing existence, I mean, there's an occasion where if you're doing something positive, but it's drudgery and it's repetitive and tedious, yes, that can pull you down. But if it's something that you can see is actually going to make positive steps towards your ongoing happiness, then it ceases to be drudgery and it becomes joyful in its own right. And yes, you probably need a break from grind now and again, but if it's not so terrible if the thing that you're doing actually gives you joy.
Well, a prime example yesterday is I decided that I was changing my CRM system. Now, and obviously I've got all my websites set up with the CRM system, but it's just not working for me anymore. It's just causing me too many hassles. So it's like, okay, I'm changing. I know which one I want to go to, but now I've got to do all the work that relates to it because I'm in the process of changing my VA as well. Great time to do it. Never mind. And it's like, okay, this has got to happen. And I went in and copied all the emails I've got set up, and I downloaded the data, and it was like, oh, it's done. And it was like, I wasn't expecting that. But actually, because I had gone into that place of it needs to be done, it has to happen, so let's just get it done. It was like it just all flowed rather than thinking, oh my God, I've now got this to do and I've got that to do and all the rest of it. I just took the attitude, well, it's got to change, end of story, it's going to benefit me, so let's just get it done. And it just all seemed to flow into place.
I think that's about accepting reality and accepting direction and not fighting against it or bemoaning too much the passing of the previous direction. You once you've decided this is the direction I'm going in, great. That should be a relief, not a burden that you're pining for the loss of where you were. I think you've accepted you're changing your CRM, just a matter of getting on with it. You accepted you're changing your VA, it's just a matter of getting on with it. And I think that can give you pause and space just to be, rather than to get into the turmoil of, well, how am I going to cope? I used to do it that way, but now I'm going to do it this way, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to cope with the change, and it's all new. And if you just accept it's going to happen, I think that helps you clear your head, and it stops you getting frazzled.
I don't know if it clears my head, but it certainly felt a relief to have made that decision, because I was starting to get to that point where every time I wanted to do something on my website, I was having to pay my website designer to actually do the work. I should be able to just hand it over to my VA or do it myself very rapidly and not have to worry, is this going to work because of this, this, and this? So yes, in deciding that I had to change, it was almost like a release and relief. Making
a decision,
yeah,
it's the cusp of making a decision, which is the most stressful. I think in myself, very rarely, once that decision is made, do I feel the stress continue, because at that point it's going to happen. We're on the toboggan and we're sliding down the hill now.
Good way of describing it. Yes,
but it's like once you're on it,
you can't stop it unless you put your foot down.
Well, even so, it's what's the point? You've spent all that effective, your potential energy building up the speed. You want to enjoy it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you need to do is sit tight and get on with it. And I suspect that kind of helps you, doesn't it?
Yeah, because if my body's not going, oh God, I've got to do this now, I actually find that I find more time, or I seem to have more time, because how do I put it? For me, it's very much about I'm listening to myself instead of going, well, I can't change this because there's going to be this problem, this problem, this problem. It's like, so what if there are problems? You're resolving the bigger problem. Yes, there might be little ones along the route, but you're still resolving the bigger problem, which is to constantly have to speak to my web designer and say, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Because of the impact of the changes I want, I can't physically do them because it's too technical. Not that I can't do technical, it's just that I'm too scared of ruining my website.
Well, yes, and with all due respect to everything you're doing, it can be easy to ruin a website if you're just not clear about what you need to be doing. And when you realize that the principle of everything you're doing is that you've got to maintain the viewpoint that we are representing something positive that's good for you, not that I'm constantly up in the air. Therefore, because if you have that energy about you, that things are in disarray and you're not quite sure which direction you're going and you're on the cusp of disaster or whatever it is, I'm sure that's got to come out of you in your work.
Clients don't come to me. Simple as that. If I'm in that disarray area of, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where I'm going, I haven't made this decision, clients will not come to me because they pick up on my energy.
So this is, I guess, this is the seraphim call to anyone listening, that it will help you to find clients, whatever you do, if you're projecting the truth, and that truth is you have a positive direction and you've consciously decided that's the direction you're going to take.
And everything I'm doing is connecting to my business, which makes my heart sing because I absolutely love what I do.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing. I think this is the clarion call for people to look into their hearts and find out what they love about what they do. Because if there isn't at least some element of that, I think it's a put off to potential new clients. They need to see that, because what we're doing right now, Karen, you and I right now, this is work.
Yeah.
It just so happens that we love doing it. So it doesn't feel like traditional work in the sense that I to prepare for it and I'm going to have to get on with it now, but because we enjoy it. So I want people to come to you and find the way to empower themselves, not to see the things they do as drudgery and irritating, but something joyful.
Well, if you look back to how I was when you first knew me,
oh gosh,
which was what, 6 months, 9 months
ladies
ago?
ladies and gentlemen, she wasn't a bad person or unpleasant or whatever. She just didn't feel very settled, and she felt a bit like she was on the cusp of losing her direction. And the woman I see before me now, who's got constantly has that smile. In fact, you should be an advertiser for Colgate with the amount that you smile, because I suspect you found your kind of inner peace through that process.
My inner peace does not get disturbed regardless of what's going on in my life. It just doesn't. I am consciously smiling. I am consciously laughing all the time, even at things that I do that I look at and think, Karen, have you just really just done that? But it doesn't matter, because there's a curiosity, there's a sense of joy in my life that had been missing for so long. And yes, I sometimes laugh and smile what would appear at inappropriate times, but then I'm thinking back to how I used to be and the things I've been through. And for me, part of living is, regardless of how bad life is, you have to laugh, you have to smile.
You allow yourself to be silly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And allowing yourself to be silly, I think, is joyful, because it means that you're not taking yourself so seriously that everything has to have an absolute reason for it. Sometimes the joy is in just being joyful.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how, please don't get this wrong, but how much more fun and that you and I have now you've decided you're going to be joyful.
Yeah.
And I remember when you took that decision, especially when you came back from Egypt, it was like the person in front of me was very similar to the person I'd known for some time before, but there was a shift. Do you remember? I remember one of the first times I was saying to you, what's happened? What's changed? I mean, I wasn't bemoaning the loss of the old Karen, but this new Karen seemed to, which was the same one, but with that realization. You're far more unflappable. You seem to be, you seem to find the humor and the joy in everything. And no matter things that would normally have sent me into a spiral, like suddenly, right, I'm moving to Cyprus. I'm going to have a retreat in Egypt. I'm just going to make it happen. to do that, I can't imagine that I'm going to call it the pre-watershed, Karen, would have been able to do that.
No, definitely not. And the fact I've decided to do the podcast, and the people that are coming to me, they're just coming to me. It's like I've decided, and somebody up in the big wide source energy has said, okay, she knows what she's doing now. Let's bring people to her.
I think it's a bit like you've opened up the sluice gates, and now they're allowed to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing about it is, as it says on the title, but I haven't got time, is an absolute fallacy, because once you have that clarity, that certainty, and that direction, everything just slots into place, and it becomes fun, it becomes enjoyable, it becomes childish even, because I am so unbelievably curious. You know, it can be something really silly that my cat does, and then she has to be sitting there looking at me, and I'll just think, I am so grateful that she can be with me and help me create the life that I'm really enjoying now. But it's having that laughter, it's having that sense of pure joy that life is good.
Okay, I'm going to call time now. But what I will say to you is, it's if anybody else would like to grab a portion of that joy themselves, understand that every day can be magical, that you can find humor and majesty in the silliest of things, then I would recommend start your journey, start your wellness journey. This is not just about taking the right vitamins or eating the right supplements. It's all about attitude of mind, isn't it?
Attitude of mind, also making sure that you're not carrying all the past, excuse the expression, crap that we all tend to do and not know it necessarily.
Because some people keep that spare room full of crap in their mind, and are almost, I promise you all, you'll feel lighter and more refreshed without it. I'm gonna draw to a close. Thank you so much, Karen. As ever, talking to Karen is always a bit of a learning day for me, but I welcome it. I have to say, although she is my client, we've become really good friends, and part of that is through acceptance and allowing. And I think that's a very good point, what you said earlier. You've allowed it to happen, so now they keep coming to you because you've allowed it to. You've taken the dam away, and now they flow. And the same can happen for any of you. I recommend you go and check out the website. Please also, the new website, I should say, and please also do check her out on LinkedIn, Karen Bashford. Very available. Or if you want to talk to me about any of my experiences with Karen, please have a chat to me as well. There's the link down at the bottom. And until the next time we talk, try and keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the possibilities in the stars, and just look after that mental health. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Have a lovely week.